Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Christy. I'm a homeschool mom to 3 kids, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some of our favorite things from this past homeschool year. So I already shared curriculum reviews and kind of like reflecting back on our homeschool year. This video is going to be more random things that we just really loved for this homeschool year. Some of it is physical things that kind of made our homeschool fun or helped in some way, and then others are just like moments of our homeschool that we really enjoyed, projects, that kind of thing. So first I want to talk about our favorite book that we read this year. So we did a literature-based language arts this year, and so we read a ton of great literature with that, and then we also did read alouds on top of it. Looking back on all of the books we read for read alouds, we really loved Echo Mountain, and that was one that we read on our own as a read aloud all together, and Lacey just like ate it up. She never wanted me to stop reading it. We loved the way that Lauren Wolk wrote this. It's very descriptive. It's got like a beautiful kind of paints you a picture kind of language and description, and we love books like that. It just draws you in. There was action, there was heroism. It was relatable because it was a girl the same age as her. It was interesting because it was from a time period back near the Great Depression, and it was also really cool because it was like wilderness focused and like living in a mountain. And it was just like a really good story, a really good book. We loved it. As a mom, one of my favorite books that we read this year was The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, the Young Readers Edition. So a couple of reasons I love this book. One, we listened to it on audiobook, and the author actually voiced the audiobook, so it just had like a connection there. I think that this book did a really good job at giving my oldest daughter some perspective and kind of like walking in someone else's shoes, and the fact that this takes place in Africa. There's a famine, there's starvation, there's some hard obstacles that the author had to overcome, and it just, I could tell it awakened some like resignation in her about, you know, how her life is very different from somebody else's life, and other parts of the world are very different from where we live. Okay, so some of our favorite projects this year. The first one was the s'mores solar oven we did. We loved doing this. All the kids thought it was so cool, and this was part of our Harbor and Sprout unit study engineering that we did. We did a whole study on alternative energy and solar power and that sort of thing, and we built a solar oven, and we actually made s'mores in the oven, and it was super cool. They loved it so much, and it was just a really fun hands-on project. Our next favorite project was the Roman aqueduct that we built out of cereal boxes and tin foil that actually made the water travel down. And this again was with Harbor and Sprout in the engineering unit. We learned about Roman aqueducts, and the whole engineering process behind that is so cool. Like, I did not know about these Roman aqueducts, and they're so cool. The engineering and just like how they figured it out back then when technology was so like, you know, minimum, you know, and trying to figure out how to make water travel miles and to where it would just flow and not get caught up. Like the angles had to be like perfect, and it was just like, it's just amazing. And we built a Roman aqueduct, and it was so much fun. Another favorite project that we did this year was our Steve Jenkins author study project, and this was a project that I was inspired from somebody on Instagram, and I thought that this was such a really great creative way to get my daughter writing in a different way than just on a piece of paper writing like an essay or like a paper or paragraph or whatever. This was just a fun way to make writing kind of come alive for her. And I did a whole video on this project, so I'm not going to go into detail, but it was so much fun. All the art that she got to do, the different techniques she got to use, and then the research on her own, the typing, the printing things out and assembling things. Like, it was just a lot of fun and she really enjoyed it. Another one of my personal favorites from this homeschool year is the fact that I received a binding machine as a Christmas gift this year. And it has been the most amazing addition to our homeschool because now I feel like I can purchase PDF curriculum more freely because I have a way to put it together and bind it and make actual books. I was tired of using 3-ring binders. They take up a lot of space, and I really wanted a way to kind of just spiral bind them so that they were all in like a nice notebook. And PDFs tend to be a little bit more affordable in price, and then also the fact that you can use them for multiple kids. So I do like to go that route if I can, and so I do love having my binding machine. I will link the one that I have down below for you. It is a coil binding machine. It's like the metal binding ones that clamp down, but you can also use it and then twist a hand like spiral in there if you want to do it that way too. It works both ways, but I have really loved it. I haven't had a problem with it and I use it all the time. Going along with printing curriculum is my HP Instant Ink subscription. I don't know what I would do without this. I have an HP printer. It's a good printer, like it prints pretty good quality, but the ink is so expensive, and that's the only downfall. It goes through a lot of ink, and a lot of curriculum is very colorful and beautiful. And so the Instant Ink subscription, I forget where I heard about it, but it was like our first year homeschooling, I learned about it, and it's amazing. It is for HP printers. You pay a monthly fee and they ship you ink, and you can print a certain number of pages that you pay for your plan. So I pay for, it's one of the mid-grade plans. It's not the cheapest, but it's definitely not the most expensive either. It's in the middle, and I get a certain number of pages a month to print, and it doesn't matter if it's like a full color, use all of the ink kind of page or black and white page. It doesn't matter. It counts as a page. I actually really, really love it. I've never run out of ink. They're very on top of it. My printer actually signals to them when it's low and they automatically ship new ink. So even if I'm going through multiple cartridges a month, it doesn't matter. They don't charge you any more for multiple cartridges. You just pay for your pages. So I love it. It's an incredible value. It's saving me a ton of money to do it that way. And yeah, it's a great service. Another one of our homeschool favorites has been a mother-daughter journal. And we actually started doing this our first year of homeschooling in a way to get my daughter writing. I thought that this would be helpful for her. I also really wanted a way to communicate with her about things that maybe she wanted to talk about, that maybe she didn't want to, say face to face, or just something fun that we could pass between each other. So she writes in it, I write back, I write a response and give it back to her, and we just bounce it back and forth. If you have a reluctant writer, I definitely suggest a mother-child journal because it's a really great way to get them writing. These two books have been amazing for our homeschool year. So these have basically been our history for this year. We started with a history curriculum that I'm not like in love with. It's too surface level for me. And so we kind of just started doing our own thing. So we have this American History Timeline Journal from the Thinking Tree, which is a way to kind of self-research American history. Although it's got photographs in it of people, it prompts you to look up information about certain people. There are timelines in it. There's some information even in it. It's definitely a more guided journal than some of the Thinking Tree journals are. And I really, really like it. It's been super helpful. As you can see, I have a ton of like little sticky notes in there marking like places that I need to look at or want to visit. This has just been a really good way to kind of study history on our own. And then Heart and Soul is like a gorgeous, gorgeous book all about African American history. I love this book. It's definitely something that gives me perspective and gives my daughter perspective. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful book. It's interesting, like it really draws you in. And so we've been using this with the American History Timeline. So this has been a very, very big help in our homeschool. Another thing that we love for history that we used this year was missionus.org. It's a website with role-playing history games where you're actually a character in American history and you have to make choices, and depending on the choices you make depends on how the story kind of plays out. It's super interesting and makes you kind of feel like you're there, like in that time period. And so we've done a couple of those and it's completely free, and it's just a way, I think, to kind of live out history a little bit and kind of help it make it more real for the kids. Another one of our favorites for this homeschool year was the Fruit of the Spirit unit study that we did. Now this was just a unit that I put together myself just by pulling different resources that I found, and it was really fun. Like, we really loved learning about the fruit of the Spirit and they really enjoyed it. Like, I used to pass out these little tickets when I saw fruit of the Spirit being displayed, and they would collect them on a little ring, and they loved that. So I actually have a whole video on this unit, so if you want to know like some of the resources that I used and everything, I will try to link it down below for you or up in the cards, and so you can check that out if you're curious. Another one of my favorites has been this zipper binder. So inside it's got a bunch of different sections. I don't remember how many, like 16 or something different folder dividers, and this works really well for our Harbor and Sprout units because those I tend to like to keep loose leaf and not actually bind them for my kids, and so that way I just put all of the printables for each subject in here, organized by each subject for each week, and it's just been really helpful keeping things organized. Everything's all there. It's very compact. Like, I just feel like it doesn't take up a lot of space, and I can have like all of the curriculum for the unit we're doing in here, no problem. And this I found on Amazon. I will try to link everything physical down below for you if you're curious in it as well, but it was super cheap and I loved it. Another one of our favorites this year has been this squishy human body, and we actually, my daughter affectionately calls ours Evan, and it has been just something super fun and like enjoyable. We did part of the Gather Around Human Body unit this year, and so we would pull this out at the end of a lesson and Lacey would just kind of play with it. But what I love about this too is it actually has like a whole like map with all of the organ outlines with them labeled, and so she can put them in the correct spot, and so that works on labeling the parts of the body and learning what they're called and that kind of thing. And she really loved this. Like, I pulled this out and she was just like occupied for like an hour just playing with the squishy body. So definitely recommend getting a squishy human body if you're doing a human body unit of any kind. Like, it's amazing. Another favorite of ours this year has been dry erase or wipe clean books. So these would be for my younger kids. Like, they both love dry erase markers and like activity books that use dry erase markers. My littlest one started tracing her letters already with one of those marker books. My son will just pull them out in the middle of the day just for fun, just to like trace his letters or write his letters or do some of the little activities. He loves them. And so I think that they're a really great kind of learning activity because it's something different. It's something that they can do on their own for the most part. And it's just something quiet and fun and focused for them to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing some of our random favorites from this homeschool year. Leave some of your random favorites from this school year down below because I'd love to check them out. I will see you guys in another video. Have a wonderful day. Bye.